Good afternoon, everybody. How is everybody doing today? It is a beautiful Tuesday afternoon, the 30th of March, and we have a super special guest for today, the famous Cody Gibson of United Home Group and Portland Real Estate. So happy to be presenting Cody, and for sure we're recording this. We're going to add the subtitles and share it with all of the organization, the Spanish-speaking folks. Those of us here who are fortunate enough to speak and understand English can enjoy Cody live, and the rest will have to read the subtitles or listen to whatever sexy actor we can find to give the speech in Spanish on behalf of Cody. So Cody is the CEO of United Home Group that began in 2011. So they are 10 years and running. And since then, UHG, United Home Group, has continued to expand throughout the globe, all over the United States and now internationally. And us here in the Dominican Republic, we are lucky to be the first international foray, the first international country for United Home Group, which is a super group that is operating in over 96 market centers in 22 states and with over 144 partners and growing because in the Dominican Republic, we continue to add. So Cody is also a MAPS coach, a bold coach, and is the OP of two different market centers in the United States. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Cody. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that the translator, unfortunately, is not working. So we will be following up with the recording and adding the translation afterwards and providing that link to all who don't understand English. So without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Cody, who's going to speak with us about overcoming obstacles to have big, big business.
Oh my gosh, Cheryl,
Cody.
thank you so much for an incredible introduction. One of the best I've ever had, almost as if I wrote it myself. So great job. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's get into this, man. Listen, if you want to live a great big life, like if you really want to go from where you are to where you want to be someday, you have got to make peace with this fact. You are the least likely person to move yourself from where you are to where you want to be. And you got to live with that. Like you have to know that. But the reason is counterintuitive. The reason is that we already think the way the person that lives right here is. Imagine that I'm here and I'll just use numeric numbers, right? Like as real estate agents and real estate professionals, salespeople, entrepreneurs, we live by numbers. And so if I'm the person who's selling 2 houses a month, but I want to be the person who sells 100 houses a month. You see, I already think like, act like, talk like, live like, and I perform like the guy or the gal who's selling 2. I don't think like, act like, talk like, live like, and do the activities like the person who sells 100. Do you get my point on this? We have to change the way we look at the world to get where we want to go. And we're the least likely person to do it because we already think this way. And so when you look at your business and you look down and you go, whoa, I'm in this incredible entrepreneurial business. I'm in this business that has literally no ceiling on how high I can go. The problem is anytime you choose something that has no ceiling, you are automatically choosing something that has no floor. Those two things go together. You don't find something with no ceiling that has no floor. As a real estate person, we can make as much as we want, but we can make as little as we want. We can do incredible or we can do terrible. The challenge is that it's our decisions and our actions, like our itty bitty habits that show up every single day that's going to dictate it. And I believe at the very end of the day, you and I are paid in proportion to the level of questions we ask. In other words, if we want to earn a great big income, live a great big life, have a great big business, we've got to get used to asking great big questions. If we ask little questions, we're going to live a little life. We're going to live a little tiny experience on this earth. We're going to have a tiny little business. We're not going to have any money. And so when you think about what you want to earn and you think about how many families you want to help in our business or in our industry, we have to go internal first. It's not external, it's internal. I can give you 100 different ideas and 100 different tactics. I can say, you know what? This script works really well. Change it, modify it, make it specific to the Dominican Republic. You could do all those things. I can say, listen, here's 8 ways to take 10 listings a month. Here's 12 ways to sell homes to 15 buyers every month. I could give you the tactics. But if you're unwilling to think like the producer, and if you're unwilling to do the work, it doesn't matter. That would be like giving the tools to somebody who has no interest in actually building the house. Are you willing to pick up the hammer? Are you willing to continue to work on those walls even when you're tired? Will you put in the work when everybody else is done? You see, if you and I were athletes, like if we were athletes and we wanted to be a professional athlete, we would understand that we're going to have to work out 2 or 3 times a day. We would understand that not only would we have to play our sport, we would have to strength condition or strength train on top of it. We would understand that what we put into our body and what we don't put into our body is going to have a dramatic impact on our performance on the field or our performance on the court. But if you want to make money like a professional athlete in the business of real estate, the sport of real estate, you got to be willing to treat yourself like that. The difference is that you don't have a coach who's over your shoulder. You don't have somebody over your shoulder saying, you're going to work out twice today. You don't have somebody over your shoulder saying, listen, here's what you're going to do on the field today. We're going to run this play 50 times. And you get really good at the play and the coach says, great. Now that you're great at the play, we're going to run it another 500 times to make it so ingrained that you have no choice but to do it. You see, an amateur will practice something until they get it right. But a professional, they'll practice something till they can't get it wrong. Are you willing to do that? And most aren't. Most say they are, but when you watch their actions and you take a peek inside their life, they show you that they're unwilling to. There's a whole lot of people that say, I want to get in shape. There's a whole lot of people that say, I want to be fit. There's a mile-long list of people that say, I want to have a six-pack. Want to look great on the beach. But there's only this many people who are willing to live the way it takes to achieve it. You see, and what we say with our mouth is almost never congruent with what we do with our actions. One of the greatest leaders I've ever worked with, she taught me this, and this is worth, if you write down nothing I say today, write this down. She said, Cody, I rarely trust people's words. Rarely do I trust people's words because people can just tell you whatever they want. Is there ever been a time in your life that you're hearing someone talk to you and while their lips are moving, you know they're lying? You're like, I don't believe you. Like, I don't think you're telling the truth at all. Like, I can tell your lips are moving. You are not telling me the truth. Has there ever been a time in your life that you have told somebody something they wanted to hear? I have. I'll be the first to admit it. There's the saying, talk is cheap. Words are easy. So I rarely trust people's words. Then she taught me, Cody, rarely trust their actions. There's another saying that talk is cheap, but your actions tell you who you are. There's another saying that says, watch their actions and that will tell you what they think, that will tell you who they are inside, blah, 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 blah. But you know, the lesson she taught me was that anybody could alter their actions for a short period of time. Anybody could change and be different for a day or a few hours or a week or two or a month or two, but that's not long-term. That's just short-term. That's just to get out of a problem. You see, in our industry, the way that we see it happen all the time is that a real estate agent who's paid by commission, who has no ceiling on their income, but also no floor, looks down one day and says, whoa, I'm broke. I don't have any money. And so they go and do whatever it takes. Like they change everything. They lead generate like crazy. They talk to all their friends. They knock on doors. They do open houses. They do whatever it takes to get in front of buyers and sellers for a couple of weeks. And they find a couple of buyers and sellers. And as soon as they have a couple of transactions going again, as soon as they have a couple of deals going again, they quit doing the activities that put them into them. So they haven't really changed their behavior. They modified their behavior for a short period of time to obtain a goal. but it's not even the real goal. So what she taught me was never trust their words, rarely trust their actions. But the third piece was, she said, Cody, always trust their patterns. You can 100% trust people's patterns. The way people show up repeatedly, the way people show up over time, again and again and again, man, you could put stock in that. That you can look at and say, that's who that person is. And of course, today, when we're talking about mindset to build an incredible over-the-top business, something that could dramatically change your life, something that could build generational wealth for your family and your families to come, like big money, not little money, big money. If we're going to talk about that, we have to see ourselves that way. And so I would have you get a great big mirror and just go, I don't even trust my own words. I could say anything. Think about how much we lie to ourselves. Man, I do it. You know, I'm an incredible salesperson, but I am the best salesperson on planet Earth when I'm talking to myself, because I'll believe anything I tell myself. Any story that I tell myself, I'm going to believe. Any story, anything that I tell myself and I go, oh, you know what? I didn't work out today. I'm going to work out extra hard tonight. I didn't eat right today, but you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to make all the good decisions. Tomorrow, it's going to be great. I didn't lead generate this week, but you know what? I'm going to put in a double shift on Saturday and I'm going to work extra hard and I'm going to make it up. You know how many times I've told myself those bullshit stories again and again and again? You know how often I actually do them? Rarely. You see, I don't even trust my own words talking to myself most of the time. And my actions, I could do something for a day or two. Am I willing to do it long term? I was talking with Gary Keller one day, and he said, Cody, the only damn reason that I get to be the Gary Keller that you know is because I've been willing to do what people won't do for 32 years. He said, that's the truth. He goes, I don't do anything amazing. He said, my results are amazing, but my actions are not. He said, you've got it confused, man. He said, I've been doing these same things until lunch every day for over 3 decades. He goes, that's why I'm amazing, because you're putting 32 years into the bucket. 32 years at something. How good should you be at something after 32 years of making it your passion? You should be the best on earth. By the way, remember, let's say that you've put a week into something that's your passion. How good should you be? You should be as good as somebody who's done it for a week. When you hit a year, you should be as good as someone who's done it for a year. I say that to say this. As much as I'm going to drive, as much as I'm going to push, as much as I'm going to say you can have anything you want, you also have to have a little bit of grace with yourself and go, you know what? This is where I'm at in my journey right now. I'm 2 months in. I'm going to look like someone who's 2 months in. I'm a year into this new habit. I'm going to look like somebody with a year into this new habit. You see, you have to quit comparing your life today to someone else's life who's over here. You see, you're on your trajectory and maybe they're on theirs. Let's say that you start expanding your business and you go, oh my gosh, I was talking with somebody just this morning before we got on here who was wanting to expand their sales business. And they're in 2 locations right now. And they said, but Cody, you're in 105. And I said, I know, but I've got 11 years at this. And not only do I have 11 years at this, I've got 11 years at this with 9 years before that, building up to it. I said, you've had your license for 4 years. You can't compare yourself to somebody else's journey. We're at different levels. By the way, as you grow your business, as you push, as you take more territory, new levels are going to find new devils. The problems in your business, man, when you grow, when you level up, you're going to problem up. When you level up, you're going to have shit show up that you never expected. One of my partners in United Home Group, I think she'll sell about 100 homes this year. And she got sued in the US for the first time. She called me and she's like, she's almost like in tears about this lawsuit. And she's explaining this thing to me. And I interrupt her and I said, do you have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Because I'm starving right now. And she's like, what? And I said, I'm starving. She goes, what the hell are you talking about? And I said, and I laughed, and I said, do you realize how ridiculous this is? It's as ridiculous as me asking for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. She said, what are you talking about? I said, Andrea, this is the first time in your career that you're going to push 100 units. Guess what? Someone's going to be upset, and someone's going to get an attorney, and someone's going to sue you. So what? So what? Here's the 3 things that you can do. Here's what you can do to deal with it. But at the end of the day, go right back to work, wake up tomorrow, do the right thing, treat people well, and always be honest. You're going to be fine. I said, I hope your business gets so big that you always have some legal problem. Because guess what? Nobody sues anybody who's broke. Nobody sues anybody who's not doing anything. Nobody has haters, and nobody has people who's saying you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that, who's literally doing nothing. And I said, I hope that you get to the point that this is common. Now, I would never hope on somebody or wish on them that they'd have legal problems over and over and over. But everybody I know who succeeds at the highest possible level always has somebody who's trying to take it away. Are you willing to work like there's always somebody who's there to take away your business? You see, your buyers, your sellers, your clients, your customers, they honestly don't give a damn at the end of the day who they work with. They're happy to work with somebody else, which means they're also happy to work with you. The challenge is, can you be in front of them? Can you constantly be in front of them at the right time, asking the right questions, providing the right level of service? And one of the easiest ways to do that is something that we've taught for decades at Keller Williams. And what I want you to do is I want you to write this down. There's 2 things that I want you to write down. It's called benchmarking and trending. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at what people are doing in your area or in your expertise, your geographic area, sociographic area, whatever it is that you do for real estate business. I want you to go and find somebody who's doing it really well. That's the benchmark. The level of service they provide, the hours they work, the types of deals they put together, how they treat their clients, how they treat their customers, the marketing they do. That's the benchmark. And what you do first is you take your business and you mirror it. You don't copy it, but you mirror it. Then you trend it and you take it 1 level up. That's how you win in a business game. It's benchmarking and trending. What is being done now at the highest level? How do I match it? And then how do I trend it? Now, when you go down this road, you might find somebody in your area who's doing X, Y, Z in their business. And you go, oh my gosh, that's really good. It's going to take me 5 years to catch up to that level of service. Cool. Get your butt in gear and go spend 5 years getting there. Nobody said it was going to be fast. By the way, what I've learned, when you're benchmarking and trending, it never takes the person catching up as long as it took the person getting there. When you're matching somebody and you're modeling their behavior, they might have taken 10 or 15 years to achieve a certain level. You can do it in 3 or 5. But you know what? It's not going to happen in 10 minutes. It's not going to happen in 10 weeks. It's not going to happen in 12 months. So just breathe. Have an incredible plan and work the hell out of it, but just breathe. Be okay with where you are in your journey. But if you don't know where you want to go, the journey's not relevant. If you don't know where you're headed, then what you're doing doesn't matter. What do you want this thing to look like? When you get really clear on what you want the target to look like, you know what shots to take. One of the best things I can tell you is this. Today, it's not about having a giant business plan. Today, it's not about having some amazing business plan that's so well written and so well done, and it's a 5-year plan. Those things are interesting. But if you can't fit a 5-year business plan on a Post-it card or a note card, it's probably too complicated. You know what it is today? It's about micro commitments. You know what you need today? You need to go out today and be the type of real estate professional who sells 10 houses a month. And you act like one, and you work like one, and you ask the questions like one would ask, and you provide the level of service that one would provide. And it might take 6 months or it might take 6 years to get to the point that you're selling 10 houses a month. I don't know what it looks like for you. I know that it took me a long time to get to 10 listings a month. Took me 3 years. And I know that some months I would take 5 or 6 or 8. Some months I'd take 10 or 12, but it took me a few years before I was doing 10 a month on average. But you know what? A whole lot of people spend their entire career never getting there. What do you want this to look like? The next question is, what are you willing to give up to get there? See, most people talk big, but they don't act big. Most people talk big, but their actions, their habits, what they do every day says the exact opposite. The very person who says they want to get in shape, the very person who says, I want to look a certain way on the beach, the very person that says, I want to feel a certain way in my own skin or in my own clothes, is usually the very person who's doing nothing to get there. Quit talking and start doing. You see, once you do it, then you could do it again and again and again. This is the season in your business right now that it's about micro commitments, tiny commitments. Who do I need to be today? And you go and you be that person. Then you duplicate it tomorrow. And then you wake up the next day. What is today? Today's Tuesday. And so you be that person today. Then you go and you do it Wednesday. Don't worry about Saturday. Don't worry about next Monday. Those days don't even exist yet. When I talk to the youth, like I do these webinars for young teens and youth, I tell them over and over and over again, there is no tomorrow. Like we got today, we've got this. I don't know if tomorrow exists for somebody or not. I don't know if it exists for me tonight or not. I hope it does. Like I'm banking on the fact that it does, but I don't know that. But I know I can't control tomorrow today. What I can do is I can influence tomorrow today. And I'm real clear on that. There's an old saying, win the day, win the war. Because if you lose the day and you lose it repeatedly, the war's already lost itself. But if you're going to win a war, you win it day by day by day. If you're going to win a war, you win it inch by inch. You win it person by person. You win it battle by battle. But most of us in our business, because we're commissioned, because we don't really work for anybody, because we kind of work for ourselves, most of us are unwilling to live like that. And we just hope someday that we're going to meet the right person at the right time. And you know what? Some people do. But that's not called a great business. That's called luck. That's called being in the right place at the right time. And I've never seen a business plan that said, I'm going to get lucky. I'm just going to do things and get lucky at some point. Somebody might. I don't know about you in your life. I've never been the person who gets lucky with things. I'm never the guy who buys a raffle ticket and wins the damn thing. I'm never the guy that puts my name in on something and I get drawn for it. Like I'm just never that guy. So luck hasn't played a big role in my life. You know what has? Hard work. You know what has? Being willing to fail, doing it wrong for a long period of time, screwing it up before I figure it out. There's another saying when it comes to mindset, to be able to fail forward. I need you to go mess things up. Quit expecting that everything's going to work. Most things don't work. But if you keep at it, most things that don't work, you figure out ways to make them work. You see, when you really care about something, it doesn't matter what's in your way. When you really care, there is nothing that's an obstacle. If you dropped your iPhone today and you had to go find a new one and you had to go buy a new one, I'll bet you'd figure it out. You might be short on money, but damn you, you would find the money to go buy a new phone. You might say, I can't afford that. But if you don't have a phone, I'll bet you figure it out today. You're not going to live without it, because here's why. And I need you to write this down. One of the best things I think that Tony Robbins says is we don't get what we want. We get our standards. We don't get what we wish. We get our standards. And your standard is you're going to have an iPhone before the end of the day. Your standard is you're not going to live without it. Therefore, you will figure it out. You'll borrow the money, you'll take the money, you'll sell something, you will figure it out. You're not going to go, well, you know what? I don't have that $1,000. I mean, they're 1,000 US, don't know what that means to you, but they're about $1,000 US, which is pause for a second. That is the most ridiculous thing I could possibly say. $1,000 for a phone? Are you kidding me right now? But you know what? We line up to buy them. We line up. And they release a new one and we go, oh my God, I got to have that one. This one wasn't working just yesterday that I made millions of dollars with, so I should go get a new one. How stupid. but we do it. We do it. By the way, do you offer a level of service that your customers and clients would line up to do business with you? And until you do, they won't, which means the pressure is on you. How do you provide something? I mean, we go to Starbucks and there'll be a line of people at Starbucks for a mediocre cup of coffee. But right next door or across the street, there's a small independent coffee store that probably has better coffee and no one's in line for it. And that's the power of marketing. That's the power of branding. That's the power of delivering world-class service again and again and again and again. Can you do that? How big of a life do you want to live? You show me your actions and I'll show you your future. You show me your habits and I'll show you your income. If you want to double your income, double your habits. If you want to double your income, double or triple the amount of time you put in. I know 0 people, literally 0, that double their business by spending less time in it. I know 0, zip, 0, nada, zilch. And if one exists, I hope I never meet them because I'll begin to believe it happens. Don't want to meet that person. You know who I do meet? People that say, I want to double or triple my business, and they start putting in double and triple the amount of time. Instead of working 5 hours a day, they work 12. Instead of working 8 hours a day, they work 16. They work. Now, here's the trick. If you do that forever, you'll burn out. If you do that forever, you'll look down one day and say, I'm making great money. I forgot my spouse's name. That's a problem. So you can't do that forever, but you do it for a short period of time. And as soon as you increase the business, then you use your money to buy the time back. But if you don't have very much money, I need you to hear me on this. It'll be the last point that I make. If you don't have very much money or you're short on money, you use your time to get to the money. Then when you're making it, you use the money to buy the time back. You can't have both problems at the same time. Do you have any idea how many realtors have told me at some point in their career, Cody, I'm short on money and I don't have enough time? Screw you. You don't know how to look at the business. That's the truth. The truth is you can't have a lack of money and a lack of time simultaneous. You might think you do. You just need to change the way you look at it. The truth is, if you don't have enough money, you have to have time. Now, maybe you don't sleep. Can't help you there. You know how many times in my career that I've gone and I've not slept very much? Of course, I'm an entrepreneur. And I know at some point in my career, I'm going to have to live on less sleep for certain amounts of time. So what? Go on Instagram and look at all the entrepreneur memes that show up, burning the candle at both ends, staying up late, getting up early. Those things all look good, but they don't just look good, they're the truth. And you do them for a little while, and then you take the money and you buy your time back. One of the greatest leaders I've ever worked for, she taught me this. She said, you can't lighten the load without being willing to feel the burden of it. If you want to double or triple your business, you're going to have to go carry that weight. It's not going to be simple. It's not going to be light. It's going to be heavy. It's going to feel crushing. It's going to feel like your back is breaking, but it won't. And then you'll get used to it. And then you'll learn how to do it in less time. But that's the trajectory of our business. That's how we get from where we are to where we want to be. All right, that is all the words I can say without taking a breath in 30 minutes. All of them, all the words I can say. You guys have been an incredible host to us. When we looked across the globe and said, where do we want to expand to first out of the United States, out of our country, you guys showed up right away. You've been incredible hosts. You've been very kind. You've been very gracious. Thank you for helping us. If we're not connected, I'd love to connect on Instagram. I'm Cody Gibson 1, just the numeral 1 at the end, Cody Gibson 1. My email is codygibson@kw.com. I'm the easiest person on the planet to find with an email address, codygibson@kw. And thank you for having us. I saw something pop up halfway through that said the translator started working. I don't know exactly what that means, but hopefully whatever it means was good. Cheryl, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Cody. It is amazing to hear you speak always. So amazing to hear your words of wisdom, your experience. You know, you are a real person who did the real thing. And We all want to continue to learn from you, and we're so happy to have you and your group involved with the Dominican Republic. We are so proud. It's just amazing. Marissa, I cannot say enough about her. Marissa, I would like to introduce Marissa to everybody if I can. Everybody, I would like for you. Did my sound go off? Sorry.
A little bit. You're good.
Okay, so Marissa, I just wanted to introduce everybody to Marissa too, who is in charge of expansion, global expansion for the UHG, the United Home Group with Cody Gibson. And she's leading the team here in the country. And also Marissa is leading group coaching sessions on Fridays. So I'll make sure that everybody knows how to connect with that. All good stuff. Basically, everything that Cody teaches, we're gonna learn a lot and we're gonna do great things. So I just wanted to say thank you to Cody, thank you to Marissa and all of United Home Group, and we'll keep it going.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's an honor.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great Tuesday. It's the end of the month. We're starting April another month. Let's make sure we know what our goals are for the month of April, and let's do it.
Magnifico, magnifico. Excelente.
Thank you, guys.
Gracias a todos.
Gracias.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Gracias a todos.